Bonnie delivers life-saving messages about child abuse awareness. Again, a wonderful field to be in. Through her speaking and training business, Speak Out Services, she has reached thousands of child care providers, teachers, social workers, students, foster parents, youth groups, faith groups throughout Ohio. And she wants them to recognize and prevent child maltreatment. Her creative presentations incorporate props and humor, mixing the serious and the silly to educate, engage, and empower the audiences. She's a certified trainer for the Ohio Child Welfare Training Program and a former staff trainer for Daybreak Emergency Youth Shelter. Bonnie is a member of the National Speakers Association and an avid Toastmaster. She is a competitive speaker, having participated in 12 contests, resulting in a district-level championship and placing at the regional level, which is a really big deal. I can tell you just from, I haven't made it up there, but I know. In 2006,
she's on the route. That's right.
She ultimately ranked in the top 18 speakers of the Worldwide Communication Organization. However, her most important speaking role in life is that of a mother, advisor, periodic nag towards 2 school-aged children, and her husband Steve of 24 years. The title of her speech is The Heart of a Child. Please welcome Bonnie Bazill-Davis.
Tad, you're it. I'm afraid of his shirt. I might become his next girlfriend. My husband wouldn't like that. Tag, you're it. Do you remember playing this game? How many of you, by a show of hands, played the game of tag? Yeah? Good. How many played it with your friends? How many might have played it with your parents or caregivers? And lastly, how many of you played it with your 80-year-old grandpa? Anyone? If I tell myself and my brother here might have something unique here. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and kids of all ages, I was truly blessed to have a grandpa who had the heart of a child. But it was encased inside the body of what looked like an old man. And there are many adults who I believe love and adore the children that are in their lives, but so few, unlike my grandpa, really know how to get down and play. They may take a child to a movie, or they might go to a McDonald's playland and sit there as a child runs through the tubes, and those are all good things. But how many people actually will scrunch down and work their way into the tube themselves? Now that is the subtle difference between being an observer and being a participant in the language of play, in the language of children. And there was no better linguist than my grandpa, Jack Koogler. Now to know his history, you would never suspect that such a playful kid came from such a tough background. He was one of 9 children before Octomom that was born in the Great Depression. So he learned very early in life the value of hard work and to appreciate every little thing that he had. He used to tell me that he got an orange as his only Christmas present. And he took a bath once a week, whether he needed it or not. My grandpa was a self-made man. He was a paint contractor for a family business. And he had a favorite motto that was written up on a wall, on a wooden plaque. And it had a little picture of a bumblebee. And it read, "A bee is a busy soul. It has no time for birth control. So maybe that's why in times like these, there are so many sons of bees." Now this was the essence of my grandpa, Jack Koogler. He was a quiet, affable man. There you go. But when he did speak, it was brief, it was wise, and it was funny. Now, it may have been dealing with all the constant work and many, many sons of bees that made him so delightfully playful with his grandchildren. I believe when he finally retired, he actually got to stop and be a kid again. The little kid, Jack Koogler, that I knew, used to wear this hat. And he would walk around the house jingling his change and making this really cute puttering noise. And he had this sort of a musty odor, a combination of old tobacco and antiques. And he would sit and drink out of pretend teacups and eat the little invisible cakes that I would make for him. And then sometimes he would be on the floor laughing, slapping the ground, playing parcheesi and Chinese checkers and Twister and beating us most of the time. He rode roller coasters and he would hold the kids back in line while I would run and nab us the front seat. And when the old Atari game came out, this is an old video game system, he and my brother would be engaged in a real deep battle. And one time, I even saw him waving down to me, hanging from the branch of a tree. A 75-year-old man with a grin on his face, with his famous gap-toothed smile. And when we were done playing with Grandpa, we always said goodbye to him with his funny, silly little made-up word, mule. And when we left our grandpa, we had a smile on our face and we had warmth in our heart. Because when he left that table of the adults to come and play with us, wow, you never felt so loved or so important as you did when you were playing with Jack Koogler. Sadly, my grandpa's childhood ended before its time, when a routine colonoscopy ruptured his colon. And his health at that point began to slowly deteriorate. But even in the last few months of his life, you'd catch him with my brother going, "You're it, you're it, you're it, you're it," tapping their shoulders back and forth. He was a sweet and dear man. He ended up, at the age of 84, dying a few days, proud and independent, after shoveling his own snow. Mule Grandpa. Mule. There's a little more. It was very tragic for my family to lose someone so dear and so very, very young. Today, his hat hangs in my son's room. And sometimes I pick it up and I go, and I try to get a whiff of his musty smell. But it hangs there to remind me that the most important thing I can be doing is to be really playing with my children. Because when I throw football with my son, or I run around the yard with my daughter saying, "You're it, you're it," I look at the smile on their faces and the glow in their hearts, and I know they feel truly loved and important. And I thank the wonderful Jack Koogler for teaching me how to always keep the heart of a child. Mr. Toastmaster.